the place I need to dwell. Is the place. Hi everyone, good evening. Good evening, don't mind me. Good evening to every one of us. Good evening. I believe that the day has been going well for us, and that we are live and alive. We are live on the show tonight. We're going to be talking real estate today, and on today's edition of my property story. My property story will probably end on the 3rd, which is tomorrow of May. Then we'll take it up we're going to start our regular program on the platform. We're going to see how we're going to take it up beyond what we have now. Today I want to talk about real estate. I want to talk about real estate opportunity. I want to talk about investment. I want to talk about investment in real estate and what kind of opportunity you should be talking about. I have a book here. I wrote this book. Unfortunately, this book won't be going out for free anymore. It won't be going out for free anymore because we have exhausted all the free copies. We've exhausted all the free copies. Now it is probably, maybe you could just download a copy of it, but it's going to be for a fee. And this book, lovely book. I know a lot of people who have gotten access to this book. I'm going to be teaching from this book today. I'm going to be having my thoughts from this book. It's called The Cash Flow Landlord. The idea for this book came as a result of people not getting real estate right. There is the possessive landlord, and there's what we call the cash flow landlord. There are different types of landlords. There are some landlords that are very happy owning a property, and some landlords are buying the property for the purpose of the property appreciating, growing up in value. But there is also the part of you owning a property. Beyond that, the property is growing up in value. You also want the property to be able to produce cash flow for you. The kind of cash flow that we're talking about is the kind of cash flow that produces consistent income again and again. What is consistent income? Such that on a monthly basis, you can enjoy rent, you can enjoy income from the property. That during this particular period of coronavirus, where there's pandemic all over the world today, that by virtue of government have told people to stay back at home, your rent is still reading. Your rent is still going. You are still receiving pay. Now, landlords should not go on holiday because the tenants have gone on holiday. Landlords shouldn't go on holiday because tenants have gone on holiday. So the idea for rental income is that even during the time of doom, you should still be experiencing some level of boom. So it is not only for rental income isn't just only for those who are interested in taking up opportunities just in real estate. It is actually for those who want to build massive wealth from real estate. And so the idea, the today's episode of the real estate show will be addressing those bits. Excuse me, I want to just make ensure that we are doing very well. So today we're going to be talking about who a cash flow landlord is and the other types of landlords that we have on board. So who is a cash flow landlord? A cash flow landlord is the landlord that is focused on building what we call rental income. That is focused on not just owning a property that appreciates, but a property that can produce income again and again. And so for a vast majority of us, for a vast number of us, the focus of our investment is that we're able to enjoy what we call rental income. We're able to enjoy what we call residual income from our investment. And sorry, I just need to get this done. Sorry, I need to get this on board. All right. So the idea of rental income, let me do this. So the idea of rental income is not just to produce maybe one wealth, or maybe just to produce wealth once and you're very much okay. But it's to produce wealth again and again, so that you can build massive income from the opportunities that you have created. Now, real estate is not supposed to just make you say, you know what, I'm buying a property and I'm okay with the property that I've bought. But beyond buying a property, you are supposed to enjoy from the property. The property is supposed to pay you what we call dividend. The property is supposed to produce what we call a yield for you. It's supposed to be yielding for you. So on a regular basis, when you are broke, like I think I interviewed, they do the other time, and when you are broke, you know that, okay, you have a property that you can depend on for sustenance. Now, and that is why so real estate is not just only just want to just enjoy it during the time of boom, but during the time of doom, you can also still enjoy the property that you have bought. So real estate is a massive opportunity for a lot of people to produce wealth from. But the problem is that a lot of people, instead of being the kind of real estate that you should be doing, should not just be for just now and you're just okay, but it should be for you to be able to produce wealth again and again. So the challenge people have had before now is the challenge of, how am I going to build wealth? How do I want to build wealth? What are the things that I need to build wealth? Now let me tell you this, a lot of businesses has failed, but one business that has never failed is the business of real estate. And because real estate is even before the creation of the world, real estate has always been in existence. Now it's just that a lot of the time people have not just decided to say, okay, like I've heard statement like people will say real estate is not my thing. Real estate is actually nobody's thing. Real estate is not for a particular group of persons. Real estate is for all persons. So real estate is not just for one individual. Real estate is not just for some people. It's for everybody. It's an everybody's game. But the challenge a lot of people have done is that a lot of people have said, okay, that you just assume that real estate is for developers. But it is actually not for developers. It is for everybody. It is for everybody. It is absolutely for everybody. But the level of your participation will determine the level of your success in real estate. So what level do I want to participate in? What level do I want to get started in? Now the question for you will not be, I don't want to be a developer, but I just want to be an income generator. I just want to be able to generate income from the property that I have. And so your focus will now be that you want to maximize returns on your investment. That is, from what you have, maybe you currently have a job or you have a business and you are able to take your business, the fund for certain part of your business to invest in real estate. You don't necessarily have to be the one carrying the brick and mortar of real estate. You don't necessarily have to say, okay, you are the one who will see to the development and the construction. You don't necessarily have to be in construction to do real estate. You can let your money work for you. Let your property work for you. Now, the idea is, the question would now be, first of all, I want to invest. And it is only investors that really make money from real estate. Even if you're a realtor, I'm telling you, maybe I will need to address every realtor on this now. Even if you're a realtor and you are not investing in real estate, you can be a realtor and not an investor. If being a realtor does not make you an investor, everyone needs to participate in investing. It is going to be an aberration, probably an insult to your personality if you sell property and at the end of the day you do not have property to be able to show to people. So it's important that it's everybody's game. Investment is not for the rich. Investment is actually for those who also want to be rich. So real estate is an everybody's game. It is something that everybody needs to participate in. But the kind of real estate to participate in is what I call the cash flow landlord investment. The cash flow landlord property acquisition, the cash flow landlord opportunity. So what you need to now begin to do is that, do I want to be a cash flow landlord, or do I just want to just be your regular landlord? So the challenge that I'm posing to every one of us now is the challenge of becoming a cash flow landlord. What is a cash flow landlord? Let me make an assumption here. Probably maybe I just need to divert your focus to this. Maybe you need to see this. This is what we call a dispenser. This is a dispenser. A dispenser. Now this dispenser is filled with water. Let us say this dispenser is filled with maybe income. It's filled with income, and this is the income. Now, as long as there's this place where you press here, that water will begin to come out from. If you press, water comes out. Now, as long as there is water inside here, the water here is permitted to be drinkable, that you can take and to drink. That is also what your real estate asset is meant to be doing for you. It's also add to that your real estate is supposed to be doing. What it's supposed to be doing for you is that your real estate investment is supposed to be producing for you as long as you have a tank. It's supposed to be producing income for you again. And again, whenever you go to the place to go draw, you take a cup of water and you go draw. And when you draw, as long as there is water in the tank, you can always take water from the cup. But the moment the tank is dry, is empty, all you just need to do is to refill. Now, the challenge a lot of people have is that they are not buying a tank. What they are simply buying is that they are not buying a tank. They are not buying a tank that is filled with water. Some of their investment is just an empty tank. They have bought empty tank. They've bought properties that will not generate income for them. They've bought property that is not likely to make them rich. So the challenge, you may be saying that, oh, they have a tank, but the challenge now is that there's no water inside the tank. There's no liquid cash inside the tank. The tank is unable to generate them maximum returns on their investment. And so they begin to cry out to people and tell people, oh, it is the realtor that showed me this land that has disappointed me. This land that I bought, I'm not making any money from this property. And that is where a lot of people now have challenge in their investment. Now, it is not the person who sold you the property that is wrong. It is because of the mentality that you have adopted that is wrong. Now, there is the mentality, there is what we call the cash flow mentality. The cash flow mentality is that I will buy a property for the purpose of generating income regularly. I will buy a property for the purpose that the property should generate income for me on a regular basis. So the property is not just to generate, it's not just to make me happy, just to make me feel good and to make me comfortable that I have a property somewhere. It is not just about feeling good alone. It is also about having rental, having income that is sufficient to pay me again and again. So it's not about feeling good. It's not about, oh, where do you have a property? Now I have a property in Ikorodu. But the question is the property in Ikorodu giving you income? And some of the time we might feel very good and might feel so great. Oh, where do you have a property? I have a property in Agbara. But the question is the property in Agbara paying you rental, giving you the kind of income that you want? If the answer is no, then the probable question is you did not buy. You are not a cash flow investor. A cash flow investor is an investor that makes money from his investment again and again. So you have one single property, you buy a property or you own a property once, you pay for the property once, yet the property keep paying you again and again and again and again. But for a landlord, for the generic landlord, the average landlord, what he does is that he owns a property and he wants to live in the property. And when he lives inside the property, he is not paying himself the property. Now, what he thinks is that he is saving himself rent on the property. The rent that he should be paying somebody else, he thinks that he is saving himself rent. Probably, maybe he is now supposed to be living. He was probably living somewhere in Surrey, and his workplace is in Yaba. Now, because he has gotten some money, he got some money and he decided, okay, I'm going to buy a property in Ikorodu. Now, every morning he has to move from Ikorodu to Yaba on a daily basis. Sometimes the traffic is killing. Sometimes he's looking so old at his 30. He's already, energy is always dissipated whenever he returns home at night. Now he thinks he has an asset. He has spent over 12 million naira or 13 million naira trying to build up this thing that he calls an asset. Yet at the end of the day, once he will have just prices like this, he lost the asset that is going to take maybe about 40%, just like what we heard from Access Bank. Now he has gotten a cut of 40%. The question will now probably be this: How will somebody who has always depended, who has always enjoyed maybe good, has a certain level of expenses, now have a pay cut of about 40%? How will the guy survive? That's the question that he's probably going to ask. So he's probably going to survive on what? What is he going to survive on? Now he has to now change his lifestyle. Now he has to still transport himself. The economic situation will not say that the transport fare will drop, or the rate at which the lifestyle will also drop, except the lifestyle want to drop. Now the problem that is probably now going to be faced with is going to be faced with mounting challenges, mounting pressure, because other people that are his friends, his close friends too, have also been faced with the same job issue of not getting jobs and all that. So he has a property, that he has built with 13 million naira or 12 million naira. Guess what? The same time that he was buying the property, building the property in Ikorodu, the same 12 million naira, maybe one of his friends decided to buy a property somewhere, decided to buy a landed property somewhere in Abijo for about 1 million naira then, a dry land for about 1 million naira, probably maybe 7 years ago. And he bought this property for 1 million naira. Guess what he did? With the remaining 11 million naira with him, what he decided to do was that he was going to build what we call self-contained apartment. So he was able, with the 12 million naira on him, he was able to stylishly and comfortably build about 4 units of self-contained with 5 units of self-contained with about with the same what do you call it now, with the same amount that my friend built his own personal house in Ikorodu. Now the question is, this guy who has built the property in Ikorodu he has been able to buy a property, he has been able to start enjoying rent on the property for, let's say, about maybe 250,000 naira on a yearly basis. 250,000, 250. So 250,000, if you multiply that by 5 every year, that would be about 1.250 million naira. So in about 10 years or so, in about 5 years or so, our friend has been able to, what's the calculation now? Our friend has been able to earn over 6,250,000 naira from rent alone in about 5 years. In about 10 years, he's going to make over 12.5 million naira. How much did he invest? He invested about 13 million naira. Guess what? We are not even talking about the fact that after within those 10 years, the rent rate has increased. The rent rate will increase. So for him, he has been able to make more money, and the rent there will be appreciation in the rent that is currently going to earn. Now, the truth of the matter is this: our friend who is in Ikorodu is not enjoying. He has only been able to buy property. He has only been able to live in his dream house in Ikorodu, yet he is suffering every day. Because why? Because he has to move on. Now the question now is, he has lost his job. What is he going to now do? Meanwhile, our friend who is still renting a property in Yaba is still enjoying rental returns. Now from the rental returns, because he's not under any form of stress, he's able to take more opportunity somewhere in that same Abijo, and he has been able to buy more land. He bought more land and is able to do more development. Now he's able to multiply his investment, whereas our friend in Ikorodu, all the money he's having is spending majorly on transportation. All the money is spending to transfer from Ikorodu, he's spending them because he has to maintain the property. First of all, there's no infrastructure around where he lives in Ikorodu. He has to be the one who will probably do his own drainage, do his own gutter, clear his own stuff and lights. So this guy is actually suffering, and he's a landlord. But this other person who is not mindful of the fact that he is a tenant somewhere, but is mindful of the fact that of his own personal economy. He's mindful of the fact that he has to take advantage of his own economy, not minding whether people call him a landlord or call him a tenant. So, but he's focused on becoming a cash flow landlord, and that has been his intention, and that has been his goal. So during this pandemic now, he's enjoying rent on the property, and because after all, he's not even working anymore. He's enjoying rent on the property that he has today because he's able to buy into what we call the cash flow. He's able to buy into what we call the cash flow mentality. So the cash flow mentality is not the mentality of just maybe people who have money. It is actually the mentality that people who want to build wealth will adopt. Anybody who wants to maximize serious success, the kind of mentality that you need to adopt is the mentality of how do I multiply this my assets, this my money? How do I make my money work for me? So when you are buying property, certain kind of property, you are making your property, your money work for you, so that at the end of the day, you buy a property once. The property does not need maintenance before it start producing income. Because it is why you are maintaining it, why you are owning it, that you probably be maintaining it. So the property is giving you what we call return on your investment. Now, a lot of the time, what people buy is bullshit. What people buy is property that will not give them good value on their returns. So people are just only happy getting only property that will not produce maximum returns for them. So for you, my friend, the focus should not be to just be an average landlord. The focus should be to be a property investor. To be a property investor that invests for cash flow, not just for capital gain. Now, there's the reason why I say that you should not invest for capital gain. Don't just buy a property expecting the property to appreciate in the next 5 years. Don't buy a property expecting the property to appreciate in the next 10 years. That is bullshit. That is badadash, if I may call it. But here is the truth. The problem with a lot of people is that a lot of people have been told to buy property that for into a future that even the person who is selling the property to you does not even know. The person who is selling the property to you does not even know whether he's going to live in the next 4 years. But he has told you that this property, if you buy it in the next 10 years, this property will appreciate by 50%. Who told you that? It is erroneous. It is an erroneous way. It is a gambling way to appreciate, to buy. It is gambling to buy a property for the purpose of the property to appreciate. It is gambling. Nobody can determine whether a property will appreciate or not. But there are certain factors that brings value to a property. So this is what you will probably now need to do. Stop buying property for the purpose of appreciation. This is what you should rather do. You should buy property for the purpose of the property generating you income. However, appreciation is a bonus. Appreciation should not be the focus. Property appreciation should be an incentive, not the main focus. Now, don't buy property for the purpose of the property just appreciating from 1 million naira to about 10 million naira. Nobody can give you that kind of guarantee. Nobody will give you that kind of guarantee. A property that is in use is the property that has value. Now, you cannot live on the net worth. Let's imagine that you have a property in Victoria Island and nobody is staying there. Nobody is living in the property. The property may be worth 1 billion, but as long as, and it is only worth 1 billion on paper, you cannot live your life on the worth of the property. You can only live your life on the worth, on the income that the property generates. So let's say maybe you have a property, and somebody else has a property in Sulere. Now the property in Victoria Island that is not generating is much more worthless than the property in Yaba that is producing income on a regular basis. Let me explain. Now nobody is using the property in Victoria Island, but the property in Yaba, somebody is using it and probably paying maybe $1 million or 2. Now for the person who owns the property, his own property is more cash flow, is more that person is much more cash flow conscious than the person who is in Victoria Land that does not own the property, that owns the property and the property is generating income. So you can walk down the street, many streets in Victoria Land, and find out that a lot of properties are very empty. However, certain property in Yaba will not be empty. Why? The reason is this: the reason why you should buy a property should not be for the purpose of net worth or the property of the worth of the property. Should just be for the purpose of the usability of the property. Who is going to use this property? Even a property in Mushi that is usable is worth more than the property in Ikoyi that is not usable. I'm going to explain now, because everybody lives on cash flow. What you spend every day, what you spend as money, as an expenses, what pays your bill is the income that comes regularly. The reason why a lot of people are saying, oh, open up the economy, let us go back to business, it is because they need to pay their bill on a regular basis. People are generating income on a regular basis, and when you stop that level of income, what it stops is that you have stopped the livelihood of a lot of people. So for you need not to think that, okay, you know what, it doesn't really matter. Maybe I will have one investment that will pay me in future. Truth of the matter is this: everybody needs income that will pay them continuously. Everybody needs income that will be paying them residually. Everybody needs income that will pay them consistently. Everybody needs income that will pay them predictably. Everybody needs an income that is indestructible, an income that cannot be destroyed by the doom of the economy. And those are the things that each and every one of us need to be focusing on part-time. The problem with many people is that they assume they know how real estate works. But the truth of the matter is that most people do not even know how real estate works. Because if you understand how money works, then you probably be able to understand how real estate works. If you understand a business perspective, if you bring a business perspective towards real estate, you find out that you will not be stranded in the game of real estate. I found out as the man that I probably know who has invested over 48 units of apartments. And people keep on asking him that you are 50 something, why are you investing in an apartment? But the real reason why he has invested in an apartment is because he has to be true to himself. He has been able to figure that, he works in an oil company. So whatever income that he gets from the oil company, is able to divert that investment into in that fund, into real estate. Because he knows that one day there will be a time that he will have a need. Just imagine that during this period, they ask him to go away. They ask him that, okay, you know what, you don't need your services in this company anymore. The question is, a lot of the time, some of the income the question is, what will he be depending on? Some of the income that has come our way during this particular period, or probably maybe in the last 4 years, is enough to buy us at least 40 apartments, if I'm not mistaken. Some of us, we have opportunity to be able to buy many apartments, but because of the fact we're jettisoning the idea, we tell ourselves, no, real estate is not for me. Real estate is not my thing. It's not my forte. I don't want to do real estate. I'm not interested in doing real estate. And guess what? A lot of the people are getting frustrated. The fact that the time they are supposed to take advantage of real estate. Now, for many of us, it is important for us to understand and develop the mindset of the rich is this. It is not only the rich that invest in real estate. It is also the mindset is this, that for me to make money, I need to start thinking of income producing opportunity. And I need to start thinking of how I can generate income for myself. How do I generate income for myself? You can generate income for yourself by by investing in portfolios that will make you rich. So what kind of portfolio will make you rich? The kind of portfolio that will generate income consistently. Now let us just imagine that every month you have a kind of property that generates you certain kind of income. Guess what? You'll be able to pay your bills, you'll be able to live your life, you'll be able to live in certain kind of places. And guess what? When there are certain problems come to you, you will be able to use your cash flow to solve that problem. Now the challenge a lot of people have is that when problem comes, they are unable to solve present kind of problems because there is no flow of cash. Cash is not flowing in their direction. And because cash is not flowing in their direction, they become stagnated, they become frustrated. And they begin to call on let me tell you this. Any man who is generating cash flow consistently, in spite of the economy, will never always blame the government for every of his problem. The reason why many of us, what I think that many of us need to start focusing on, so that we become the government of our own personal economy, is this. Start focusing on cash flow generation. Start focusing on income that will produce you, property that will produce you income. Let me tell you this. The reason why when I see people complaining, when I see people angry, is sometimes I ask them, it's because you don't have money, that's why you are fighting. You are quarreling with people because you don't have money. You are fighting people because you don't have money. The reason why you are shouting, the reason why sometimes I even go to the extent of, when I see somebody and I say, and the person tell me I am sick, I'm not feeling too well. I say the reason why, your problem is not that you are sick. The problem is that you have money sickness. Because there are certain kind of problem that alert will solve for you. That when you receive certain kind of alert, and let me tell you this, when you receive what you call rental income alert, there's a way your body begin to feel. Something about income that is so lovely and so sweet. There's something about rental income that is so great, that's so lovely and so sweet. And that's why a lot of us need to begin to participate in this kind of game. It is not a market for certain people, it's a market for everyone who wants to be rich. So real estate is not for the rich, it's for those who actually want to also be rich. And so for you, it is important because it's a paradigm that every one of us need to adopt. It's a paradigm that will help us build consistent cash flow. It's a paradigm that will help us build the kind of income that we want to build. It's a paradigm that helps us. The reason why more people are not living the kind of life they want to live is majorly because they don't have the kind of income that they want to generate. Their income is not consistent. Some of them, they are having high blood pressure, not because of anything, but because there is no income to sufficiently determine whether they are building their wealth or not. So really, in truth, every one of us need to adopt the mentality of the cash flow landlord. The cash flow landlord is not just a thing. The cash flow landlord is about an opportunity that you have probably maybe have never thought about before. And the idea is this: Many people are beginning to take advantage of real estate as maybe a lifestyle. Some people, I got somebody who invested probably 1 year in 2019. He did about six units of apartment. Today, as I speak with you, he's currently doing over 22 units of an apartment. Reason is this: real estate is not for the rich. Real estate is actually for those people who want to be rich, because it's an eye opener. Let me tell you this: rental income is the main thing in real estate. Rental income is the main thing. Every other thing in real estate is gambling. Every other thing in real estate is a facade. But the real thing in real estate is rental income. So if you are not focused on rental income, you have not started reinvesting in real estate. You have not started taking real estate serious. And for you to take real estate serious, start taking your cash flow serious. And that is why you started investing. They are Mansfield, new ones coming in. And cannot afford to joke with your finances. You cannot afford to joke with your income. You cannot afford. Let me tell you this: your bills are real, but more real is cash. Real, your bills are real. Your DSTV bill, your gas bill, your NEPA bill, your water bill, your maintenance bill, the gutter, the drainage, and the security bill. They are all real, my friend. The kind of income that you need, let me tell you this: even the school fees is also real. But really, the matter is this: some people are not depending on their salary for income. Some people are not depending on their salary. There are some people that I probably know who may not have even thought their salary. But what they are depending on, what they have been counting on a regular basis, are income that is residual. Income like cash flow. Income that is cash flowing, like rental income. But for the purpose of your economic reason, let it be focused on your economy. What is my economy going to be like when I buy this property in the next 1 year? What is my financial state going to be like in the next 2 years when I buy this property? What will be my financial state when I buy this property in the next 4 years? And that should be your focus going forward. Because truth of the matter is this: somebody is saying, yeah, exactly, buy to rent. Yes, buy to rent. Don't just buy to just own and say I'm going to live on it. In fact, nothing stops you from living in your own apartment that you your own home that you build. But the challenge of a lot of people is that we are too possessive in nature. We are too possessive in nature, and we create a problem for ourselves in a bid to doing that. Let me tell you this: nobody says you must inscribe a landlord note on you. And I would rather want to ask a question to you guys, to you watching me right now. Do you want to be famous, or do you want to be rich? Do you want to be known as the landlord, or do you want to be the one who is cash flowing from the property? Do you want to be popular, or do you want to? So you need to now decide which one you want to become. Because you may be popular and not be rich. You may be popular and not have income. So you can be the man who owns 7-bedroom duplex, but yet the man cannot feed his family at a particular point. Why? Because he's going broke. And that is why those people who probably invested in property in the late 80s and the early 90s in Lagos, most of them ended up broke. Do you know why they ended up broke? Because some of them bought into property just for their lifestyle, just for their own personal lifestyle, not for their own personal economy. So their lifestyle is much more glorious than their own personal economy. And that is why a lot of people end up becoming frustrated. And that's why you see some of those houses are already being sold. I know a lot of houses in Sulere that are being sold off because the person who bought it for his own personal lifestyle. He wants to be able to show off to people. He wants to be the chief landlord, the president of landlord association, the head of landlord association of the streets. So he wants the street to be named after him, and that is the purpose for which he bought the property in the first instance. But guess what? Over the 20 years after he has bought the property, the children now decide to sell the property, not because the property is not good, it's not in a good location, but the property isn't generating as much income as it should. Reason is because the person who bought the property or who developed the property didn't develop it with a cash flow mentality. So for you now, the thing that you need to do with real estate is not just to buy real estate. In fact, it is not. I will advise you not to even dabble into buying real estate at all if you are not even buying for cash flow. I would advise you not to buy real estate at all if you are not investing for cash flow. So investment for cash flow should be the focus for which you are investing in real estate. I hope I've been able. We have about. If you have any question, I would like to take your question. If there are any questions for me to take. Somebody is asking, rental income is about investing. Okay, somebody is saying this. Rental income is about investing in a property to rent out, to live out, rent out, not to live. Okay, stand to be corrected. Yes, you are correct. Rental income is about investing in a property to rent out, not to live. Yes, you are correct, Queen. You are correct. Okay, why Israel is asking what is rental income? I think Queen already answered that question. Queen already answered that question. Then somebody is also asking another one. What's the person asking? Someone is asking. Let me see. Okay. Someone is asking. Somebody's asking, what if I want to be an investor, like being a financier and make profits? Now, there are opportunities. I think there is the AMH. If AMH is here, let AMH make a comment. Let AMH make a comment. You can go to AMH Capital at AMH Capital. Investor, you could invest as little as 150,000 on the platform. That probably go to somebody. The person there will probably show you how you can invest and all that. So you could invest with us. Invest in portfolios like this. I think something like this. Could invest in us in case in property, like in the investment scheme like this, in opportunities like this, where you can invest with maybe about 150,000 or so in real estate. That's it. You could invest about 150,000 in real estate and earn what you call returns as an investor. Or you could own a property, buy into a property for the purpose that property in your name, and you could earn what you call rental income from the property, and you could earn rent. So you could start small. Maybe you don't need to own. When I mean, there are two categories. There's a category of you saying, okay, I'm buying into property. I want to own I want to start real estate, but I don't have money to start. I don't have all the money to start. So you can do what we call co-investment. That is, you and a group of persons can co-invest into a property, and that property will be sold. If that property is eventually sold, or probably that property is being rented out, those of you that have invested into that kind of property can either earn rent on the property, or when the property is sold, you can earn you can also still earn a percentage of what that you've invested into the property. So that is how AMH Capital operates. However, for Middle Chase, how Middle Chase operates is that Middle Chase helps you to own a lump sum property, a unit of a property, and you can, for the purpose of you earning rent on the property. Except maybe you like the apartment, you like the place, you like the surrounding, and you want to live in the same property. But I will advise you, first of all, own a property for the purpose of earning from it. Now, because the luxury that you have is this. The same advantage that you probably have, not everybody have that opportunity. The down deposit of 3 million, which is the requirement for the payment for the deposit to own an apartment. Some people do not have up to that. Some people just only have 20,000 in their pocket. So you are only privileged to own that same amount. So do not waste it by saying, I want to just go and buy a property just go and live in it. Don't waste your investment. Don't turn your cash to trash. Don't turn your cash to trash. How you turn your cash your cash into serious income is by the things that you do with it. Is by the investment you put into you do with it. And so for you, the focus should be to maximize that opportunity that you currently have, and that is the way to get started in real estate. I hope I've been able to answer that question, and I hope I've been able to spend about 41 minutes of time trying to explain, trying to show us how to become a cash flow landlord. A cash flow landlord is a landlord who is cash flowing, whose cash is flowing from the property that he has invested. So he buys into a property and is enjoying rental income from the property again and again and again and again. So the focus for the cash flow landlord is not just to have a property in his name. It is not just to be a glorified landlord. The purpose of the cash flow landlord, why he's investing in real estate, is because he wants to make cash. He wants cash to come to him. It's not. It's more realistic than any other person. It's more realistic than every other person. You ask him, why you do you maybe you have property before investing, because real estate for him a game for that individual. So for you, my friend, to really take advantage of real estate, this is the time to take advantage of the opportunities, because right now the economy of the world has changed and the dynamics have also changed. So it is important you begin to take seriously your investment in real estate as we go on. For those, thank you very much for being with me this evening. I appreciate you using your data. Somebody wants to ask, can you buy virgin land, e.g. acres, and sell by way of starting real estate if you are out of the country? Ibesin, for asking that question, yes, it is possible. But the question is, but the truth of the matter is this: it is a risk, except you have plenty cash on you, except you have what I would call a warehouse filled with money, or probably a drum load of money. This is not the time to buy landed property, except their intention to buy the land property is to buy the land property so that you can build on the property, so that you can build and you have enough money to invest. So what I will say is this: let's imagine that land property, you have land, for example, you have land, you have access to land. I would rather say buy land, buy maybe 1 acre or buy an acre, or buy an acre and keep. But as you have bought an acre and keep, what you should also invest, you should also invest a minimum 4 apartments, as you have done for that 1 acre. So invest in 1 acre of property, maybe also 4 acres of property, maybe in an emerging community. Let's say maybe you invested, let's say 6 million naira for an acre of land, 6 million naira for an acre of land in an emerging community, and you are going to probably invest in 4 units of an. Now, why am I saying this? Is this: you will not live on the property that you have. You need to enjoy returns on the apartments that you have. So, like for example, except you have a warehouse filled with money, that is when you should buy land. Land can be a lazy asset. It is when you have a developer's mindset that you might probably begin to think about land. For me, land is an asset. Reason I buy land is so that I can use it to build houses, build apartments. So what will not be the focus? What will not be your focus? Is it that, okay, you just want to buy the land, the property will appreciate, then you can sell off? If that is the focus, if something happens to your money, if something happens to you, you will not have really enjoyed that return on that investment. So that is just the mindset